Hailing from San Diego, California, Lauren Fisher is a 7-time CrossFit Games athlete and former junior national weightlifting champion in the US, who tuned into the world of CrossFit from a young age, initially to help with her basketball training. The multi-dimensional fitness competition soon took over as her sport of choice, however, and after a decade competing at the top level, she now also runs her own signature fitness programs and retreats for those looking for a slice of the Lauren lifestyle. So Lauren, welcome to the World Triathlon Podcast. How are you and where are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so I'm currently in Denmark right now for the summer. Usually I'm based in San Diego, California, but my husband is from Denmark. And since I didn't qualify back to the CrossFit Games this season, which usually that takes place at the end of July, it's the biggest competition of the year for me. And so I had the qualifying competition back in end of May, and I didn't qualify. So it's kind of sporadic trip. Literally 1 week later, my husband and I decided to go spend the summer in Denmark. So yeah, we're based here in Denmark until middle of August when he's going to be doing the Ironman in Copenhagen. So that was kind of our first little test, doing the triathlon in Hamburg first.
Cool. Yes. So exactly. For anyone scratching their head after that little intro, you also did your first triathlon in Hamburg. So was that your husband's first one as well? You were both?
Yeah. No, it was my first Olympic distance triathlon, but I've done a sprint triathlon in San Diego. So the type of training I do for CrossFit, training for the CrossFit Games, they're trying to find the fittest on earth. So they test weightlifting, gymnastics, running, swimming, all of it. So in the CrossFit Games, you could see a triathlon event. So that would be like one workout out of 16 workouts. So for me, doing the triathlon in Hamburg was kind of a fun way to test a little bit of like endurance training I've been doing. And then for my husband, I think that's his third triathlon. He's also done a sprint tri, and then he's done a quarter Ironman as well. And then the half Ironman. And then he's going to go for the full distance here in August.
Right. Well, so the obvious question then, how did you find it in Hamburg?
It wasn't too much of a shock to the system. I mean, I spend like probably around 4 to 5 hours a week right now of doing zone 2 type training. So I mean, you'll see maybe some days where I'm doing around like an hour to 90 minutes on the bike, or I'm going for like an hour swim. I'm also like running twice a week. So I guess maybe it was like longer than I would normally go, because it took me around, I think, 2 hours and 55-ish minutes or so. And so that was like longer than what I would normally do. So I think the longest I've ever done, I've actually rowed a full marathon, like on a rowing machine at the CrossFit Games. So for me to do the Olympic distance was definitely longer than what I'm used to, but honestly, I was really happy with how it went.
I don't know where to start here, whether we go back to the race or like rowing a marathon. Is this, so, you know, the CrossFit Games, the essence of it, I suppose, is, or part of it, that you just don't really know what they're going to throw at you next.
Yeah, so when you're training for the CrossFit Games, you really have no idea what they're going to throw at you at the CrossFit Games, which is kind of why you have to train for anything and everything. That's kind of one of the tests of CrossFit. It's unknown and unknowable. So you go to a CrossFit gym and do a class workout, and it's always changing every day. So that's very similar to the CrossFit Games. And in 2018, I believe, when I competed at the CrossFit Games, they announced 2 days prior that we were going to row a marathon on the first day. So that was like literally the first workout we did of the long weekend, which is pretty crazy. I was pretty like messed up after that.
Yeah, that is brutal. So they at least give you a little time to sort of prepare somewhat for it. There's nothing like completely as you walk in the building.
No, actually, so at the CrossFit Games, they'll be announcing that workout that you're going to be doing that evening in the afternoon. And it's kind of a big ball drop for all of the athletes. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to be doing this. And even back in 2014, when I competed at the CrossFit Games, the final workout, I didn't even know what the workout was going to be when I stepped onto the floor. So literally, it was like they announced the workout to us when we like stepped onto the competition floor. They were like, you're doing, it's this workout, classic CrossFit workout, Grace. It's 30 clean and jerks for time, but he made us do double Grace. So he's like, you're doing 60 clean and jerks for time. And so that was like literally, and then they're like, you have 2 minutes, and then it's like 3, 2, 1, go. And then you have to do 60 clean and jerks for time.
And it's So a little CrossFit 101. So the CrossFit Games is the big one every year. It's in the States. It's moved around a couple of different venues, right? To, I guess, accommodate its growth. And like that first one, it was described as the sort of Woodstock of fitness, right? Which is
Yeah, it was back in Aromas, California, Northern California, and then it moved to Southern California and Carson. And now it's taking place in Madison, Wisconsin. And the CrossFit Games has the 40 fittest women competing and 40 fittest men, and to title one person who's going to be the fittest on earth. And everyone's competing from around the world. So you have people from Europe, Asia, Africa, like all over the world.
And the qualifiers are, so you were at a qualifier in Europe, when did you say?
Qualifying in the US, and the CrossFit Games season starts in February, and there's over like 250,000 people competing like in the whole thing. And then they narrow it down from there to the quarterfinals. And then you have like 10,000 people competing in quarterfinals. And then from there, you narrow it down to 60 people who compete in your region. And in North America, we had two regions. So North America West and North America East. So 120 girls in all of like North America. In my region, there were 60 girls, and only 10 girls make it onto the CrossFit Games. And I took 13th place.
And competition is presumably fierce between you as well, is it? I mean, that's, that sort of title of being the fittest in itself kind of gives you that little extra.
Definitely. I feel like CrossFit is it's not just about like being physically fit. It's also like having that mentality that you need to like push to another level in every workout. And you really can't have any mistakes when you're competing at the highest level anymore, because everyone is so good. So it's just like you have to have like your A game that whole weekend. And at the semifinals, which I just competed in, there's 7 workouts, so 7 different tests.
Yeah. So it's Mallory O'Brien is the current world number 1, right? Or yeah.
So she was based off of like the open and quarterfinals, but then she actually pulled out of competing this season. Mm-hmm. And so right now, I think maybe it's Laura Horvath who's number 1 going into the CrossFit Games, but it doesn't mean anything when you go to the CrossFit Games, because you're all starting at 0. And then it's like you get tested across 16 different workouts. So it's like, who's going to like win at the end of the weekend?
16 different workouts in what kind of time period then?
So it starts Wednesday, the CrossFit Games, and then you work out like Wednesday through Sunday. I think it's 16 workouts, 16 different tests. Maybe I'm saying it could be around 14, but you're getting tested a lot over the weekends.
Yeah. So, when you're comparing yourselves to other sports, that sort of level of fitness, are you all rounded, pound for pound, that literally the fittest people on the planet? Do you think these are the people that you're surrounded by?
I do 100% believe that. It's pretty crazy to like watch the CrossFit Games and just see what like the girls can do. I mean, last year they had this they had a strongman event where you had to lift a sandbag to your shoulder, and you had a girl who was like 135 pounds lifting like a 240-pound sandbag to her shoulder, which is pretty insane. So like, the people who are competing at the CrossFit Games are, I think, some of like the best, just like well-rounded in fitness. But I mean, I'm not necessarily going to say someone in the CrossFit Games is going to like go and win a triathlon, because, for example, me doing that triathlon in Hamburg just shows like, wow, I am like definitely far behind some of these girls who are just, but that's like what they do. That's their training and that's their expertise. They're running, biking, swimming every day. But I also need to like lift weights and make sure I keep like my legs strong and my shoulders strong and all of that. So it's different tests of fitness.
Yeah. And your fitness was obviously already right there for that. Were you doing anything very specific before Hamburg though,
I think this summer, since it's kind of more off-season training, I've definitely just kind of laid off like the CrossFit Metcon. So a Metcon for us is like a CrossFit styled workout. So high intensity interval where you're going to be like pushing really hard for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes and it like leaves you on the floor after, like that type of workout. So I've been doing a little bit more where it's like less of that and more endurance training. So I've been swimming twice a week. Like I'll do one interval swim session in the pool and then just like one like swim session where I just swim for like 45 minutes continuously. And then I also was doing 2 run sessions a week. So one like track interval session and then one slow zone 2 running session, and then also biking twice a week. And those were like 2 90-minute zone 2 bike rides. So I was like incorporating some endurance training before Hamburg.
Yeah. And given all of that and where your fitness already was, how like coming towards the end of that 10K, how were you feeling? Was it all fairly, you were kind of racing within yourself? Or?
I was really surprised. So I love running and I'm really good at running, but I was really surprised how I felt getting off of the bike, like going into the run. Like my legs were complete jello and I couldn't move them faster if I wanted to. They were just, I'm like, I literally can't push myself any faster because my legs don't want to go any faster. So I'm like, how do people train to like be faster on the run? Like I can't even go faster right now. So I was really surprised at how I felt, but I started to pick it up on the last like 5K. I think I kind of found like my groove and found my legs a little bit more. But it was so much fun just being out there in Germany. I'm like, this is pretty crazy that I'm able to come and do something like this with my husband and do it for fun. Because usually when we do like compete, it's never really for fun. Like there's always something on the line. So there's a lot of pressure. So for us doing the triathlon in Hamburg, it was like, okay, no pressure. We'll just go out and have fun and just like, I wanted to like push myself and see like how fast I could go like on everything.
And I mean, that time would have got you pretty much inside the top 50. So 2019, the last sort of Olympic distance that was, say, like the start lists were, the pre-COVID start lists, I guess, where there were more athletes there. So yeah, you would have got a top 50 in that age bracket with your time, which is obviously brilliant. I mean, amongst people for who triathlon is undoubtedly their sort of dedicated thing. So is this a bit of a one-off? Is it something you might just sort of throw in? Is there maybe, for short distance triathletes that then go a bit long distance later on in their career, is there a little thing maybe for CrossFit athletes that could discover?
I think there's a lot of CrossFit athletes who are competing right now, like when they're probably done with competing in the CrossFit Games, could definitely see themselves doing like more triathlons or even like competing in a half Ironman or Ironman. I know like my good friend Katrin Davidsdottir, who's the 2-time fittest woman on earth in the CrossFit Games, she loves running, biking, swimming. Like she actually told me, she's like, I would have loved to do this with you in Hamburg, but she's training for the CrossFit Games this season. So I can definitely see there might be a shift, like when some of the athletes are done competing in the CrossFit Games, to kind of fulfill that competitiveness and do something that's fun. I could see them shifting towards triathlons.
Yeah, I guess what you described is that like those explosive training sessions where you're on the floor after, that is sort of the polar opposite of the triathlon training, isn't it? Which is about like threshold and basically never kind of pushing yourself to those sort of levels where you're.
Yeah. For example, my husband just did a 10K this morning and he's like, oh, I ran it like really fast. And like, he was really happy with it. I'm like, you don't need to be pushing that hard though. Like, that's not the type of training you need to be doing for the Ironman. And he's like, well, I just wanted to test myself where I was at. So I think that's just like the inner CrossFit in us. But I'm like, you are not doing what you should be doing and training for this Ironman.
And in general, like that, the Hamburg sort of atmosphere and the other races, did you stick around for any of the elite races and the relay and so on?
Yeah, so we were actually watching, when we checked in on Saturday, we were watching some of like the elite races, the men were going and then the women were going. And so that was really fun to watch I think it was the super sprint try. That was really fun to watch that. They were like flying. So yeah, we were able to watch a little bit of that.
I guess maybe a bit more CrossFit, like that is a bit more short, sharp, punchy, explosive power, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it is.
Did that give you a little, I could have a go at that one instead? Or
Yeah, I mean, that would be really fun to try something like that.
And the relay, right? I mean, there's a team element to the CrossFit Games too. So is that, yeah.
I've always wanted to see like some sort of like triathlon relay at the CrossFit Games. They've never really done something like that. But I think that would be really fun to like test the athletes doing that.
And that tunnel swim in Hamburg, did your course take you through the tunnel or did you
Yeah,
get?
it took me through the tunnel and I thought that was really cool. A little bit not scary, but I was just like, this is really kind of creepy a little bit. We're going through the tunnel. So that was really fun. I was actually late to my heat start time, so they had to put me in the heat after. That's just me and my husband not like just not understanding how long things take to set up your bike, to set up everything and to find, because like it's just completely new to us. And then also there was just so many people I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, I missed my heat start time. So luckily they put me in the heat after.
And I suppose it's similarly like in going into transition when there's that much going on and so many, finding your spot, getting your gear. How did you?
Yeah, I was not ready for that either because I think when I was dropping my bike off, someone told me which specific zone I was in. I thought I was like in the Q zone. And then I went to that zone to put my bike in. And then my husband realized, he's like, you're not in that zone, you're in a different zone. So then when I was running to get my bike, I was thinking about the first zone that I was in when I was like, dropping my bike off that I thought I was in. And I realized, no, that's not the zone I was in. So I was literally like, I was so slow on the transition from the swim to the bike. I came off the swim and I was like, I'm feeling so good right now. I was really happy with how my swim went. And then I was like, great, I'm crushing this. Like, I'm so excited for the bike. And then I couldn't find my bike. And then I was literally like walking. And then finally I saw it. And then I realized that my bike shorts were not in there. And luckily I had a second pair of shorts ready. So I was like not prepared at all. And I think that was because we were just running so behind in the morning and I was stressing. And then I didn't get like enough time to set everything up. So definitely don't get there an hour before like you're about to go. I feel like you need to like set up your bike 2 hours prior and then just like relax.
Yeah.
Because an hour is not enough time.
And maybe have like a race admin PA with you that you can just.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like I should have asked someone to kind of help me a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. But like you said, it is, there were obviously women there that were doing it in, I guess, just over 2 hours. And yeah, seeing what is a very key part of what you do as well as the training, like is nutrition. Are you incredibly strict on what you're eating, drinking, doing, when, and so on as well? Is that?
Yeah, nutrition is really important for me. So especially like leading into my CrossFit Games season, I follow macros and I work with a nutritionist and because I want to make sure that I'm also eating enough to fuel my training every day. Cause I know when I'm not like tracking my macros, I undereat or I eat too much fat. And so I want to make sure I'm getting that proper ratio of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So the midst of my CrossFit Games season, I'm eating 3,000 plus calories and I weigh around 63 kilos. So I was eating 160 grams of protein, 450 grams of carbs, and 75 grams of fats.
Precisely as well, right? Like you're having to kind of very minutely measure.
Yeah, so I know exactly like what like my breakfast doesn't change very much in the morning because I train twice a day. So then I train from 9 to 11 and again from 1 to 3. So my like the amount of fats I'm eating earlier in the day is very limited because those take a lot of time to digest. So I'm eating more fats later in the day and like more of my carbohydrates earlier in the day around like my training sessions. So yeah, it's all very like calculated, I guess. And then especially in competition, I know exactly like what I should be eating when, and also make like, cause you don't want to be trying anything new in the middle of competition. Cause then that just calls for an upset stomach.
When sports crossover or not crossover, but someone like you kind of takes a little look into both worlds, quite interesting. I wonder how much of that absolute scientific mathematical kind of drilling into what you're eating and when could actually benefit. It's not something that triathletes seem to be a bit like, yeah, I'm having a pizza, I'm going to have a beer after the race, Obviously interesting to see how things from different sports could perhaps be taken on by, for example, triathlon?
Yeah, so I feel like my nutrition was definitely different in the middle of the triathlon than what I would do like in the middle of like any of sort of my CrossFit workouts. And that was actually one thing, like I feel like I Googled a bunch, how should I be fueling myself during an Olympic distance triathlon? And I was actually really surprised that there wasn't like there was information, but it was very like generic information. Like I couldn't really find anything like this is like exactly what you should be having at this time in the middle of your triathlon if like this is your pace or whatever. Like I wanted like more specific information, not like, oh, you should be eat or drinking like 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrates every like 30 minutes or every hour, stuff like that. Like I feel like it was very general. So for me, I was like, okay, well, I know I need to make sure I'm like eating, like I'm having a lot of carbohydrates. So like I made sure I had like during the bike, I had a carbohydrate, like an electrolyte mix. So it was around like 60 grams of carbohydrates in my water bottle, with probably like 500 milligrams of salt, sodium, and like potassium. And so I had that like in my water bottle. And then I also had some of those those gummies that you can just have. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have one chew every like 15 minutes. So that was kind of getting me through the bike ride. But and then I made these like little like protein balls too. And I was gonna have one just right before I got on the bike. But then I don't know, it must have fell out of my bag like before, literally before I got there. So I couldn't find that too. And I think that was the stress of us running late. So I didn't even have like my protein ball that I wanted to eat. I think one thing that would have been beneficial though is actually, so my brother had mentioned it to me because he's done a full Ironman, and he was like, make sure you have some salt tabs with you. And I didn't have any salt tabs with me. And I think that would have been helpful on the run because I felt like when I got off the bike, my VMOs almost started like cramping. So I think having like some salt tabs I could have just like easily like ingested while I was running, like that would have been helpful.
Yeah.
But no, I'm no expert at what I should be fueling.
No. No, but you are an expert in your realm, right? So it is interesting to think the athletes, even the best in the world, seem to be quite fast and loose and will just kind of smash a load of cakes and cups of tea after a training session. And
oh yeah, after the triathlon, all I wanted to do was just like eat junk food, and I also wanted to try a beer in Germany, even though I don't even like beer. So my husband and I went to Underdocs in Hamburg. A lot of people recommended that restaurant, so we got like a lobster sandwich. We got these like fries with cheese and like tacos and a beer. And then we got dessert to bring back to our hotel room. So usually post competition, I love to like treat myself.
All right, good. So that's, yeah, incontrovertible truth that triathlon does actually bring out the sort of munchies and demand for beer.
Oh, 100%.
That concept of like the fittest in the world, and CrossFit obviously undoubtedly having a massive claim at that after what you've just sort of been through, the idea of being able to boil that down into like all the training that goes into it, all the, say Christian Blumenfeld was doing 40 hours a week and then sort of tapering off towards a major race. How would that compare? And do you think there's anything in that, in like being able to somehow boil down like footballers, for example, soccer players who, yes, they're incredibly fit, but their training is probably, you know, a bit of running, some shooting practice, hit the gym, and then the levels just aren't the same, right?
Yeah. So in the lead up to the CrossFit Games, I mean, I'm training twice a day, and it's probably around 4 to 6 hours a day of training. And then Thursdays are an active recovery day. So usually I spend that either swimming, biking, or running. Usually, though my favorite lately has been like 60 to 90 minutes of just zone 2 at the CrossFit gym. So I'll do like mixed machines, like row, bike, ski, get on the runner for like 60 to 90 minutes, just moving through those. And then on Sundays, I take a full rest day just because rest is just as important as training. So, I mean, I'm training a whole lot, but I feel like it's not just about the training. It's also about like your sleep. I feel like that is so important. So making sure you get enough sleep at night, prioritizing like stretching. So then when you get home, you're spending like 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, just like on mobility alone, like making sure your body feels recovered, and then also eating enough. So it is a full-time job training for the CrossFit Games. Like, it's not just about the hours you put in the gym, but it's like, how can I maximize my recovery outside of the gym?
Yeah. To take a Vincent Luis and bring him into the CrossFit Games, it would just be fascinating to see how, where those comparisons lie, right? I mean, so many different sports that you could imagine people laying claim to, oh, I'm fitter than you, or I'm.
I think if someone from like triathlon were to come into CrossFit, I think they would literally not need to spend any time on like endurance training. They would have to spend most time like on the strength aspect. So like lifting weights and getting like strong enough to compete like at the CrossFit Games. So it would just be more like high power output type workouts, like 2 to 3 minute short sprints. And literally, I think if they didn't even train any longer distance workouts, they would still probably take top 3 at the CrossFit Games in those workouts.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah. But there's quite a big gymnastic element to it as well, isn't there?
And the gymnastics. So yes, then it would be gymnastics and strength.
Yeah. Well, it all sounds incredibly tiring from where I'm standing. Yeah. Do you feel like Hamburg has maybe kind of opened a little something there then that might, you might try and hit a couple of start like Malaga next year? Malaga will be the standard distance world champs. Any desire to try and sort of squeak in a official US representation there for the world championships?
I mean, never say never to anything, so you never know. But at this moment in time, I'm training for like 2 big CrossFit competitions coming up in September and October. But there's definitely, after doing the triathlon, like I had so much fun. So I definitely want to do more. And at some point in my future, I want to do a full Ironman. I don't know when that will be, but yeah, I definitely want to get into it more. I just feel like there's so much to learn about the sport, like, and also just how to like maximize my training in triathlon. So I would love to like get into it more.
Brilliant. And you do, I mean, you run courses as well yourself, right? For people that are they kind of Lauren Fisher at home type, this is what you should be doing, as well as you do camps and residentials, don't you? So
yeah, so I have an online fitness program for women. It's called Grown Strong, and we offer different fitness programs based off of time and equipment. So if you only have 20 minutes and you want to work out from home, then we have a program for you. Or if you want to spend around 80 minutes working out, then we have a program that focuses on strength, conditioning, and accessory work. So it is largely CrossFit based, but more approachable, where you aren't going to be doing those advanced movements. So the average woman can do like the workouts, and it's also really fun because then you can also join our community and meet like-minded women who also have similar goals of getting stronger, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So yeah, that's an online thing, and you can sign up on grownstrong.com.
Great. So that's a whole global movement out there as well, is it?
Yeah, we have women from all around the world that do our program.
Brilliant. Amazing. Well, thanks ever so much for coming on, sharing the story, and just enthusing about triathlon. We wish you very well, obviously, in the CrossFit events coming up.
Really appreciate it.
Maybe stick Malaga 2024 in the diary.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.